Okay. Hello. It's me again, Steven. Yang Steve333 and all that. Um, this is lucky number. I mean, I guess you could call it lucky number 444. Uh, but 4 is also known as a number of death, so, well, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Um, as you can see, the main prompt is a card that shuffles cards into or retrieves shuffled cards from the deck. And the secondary prompt is a card that's before Angoro. Uh, I'm just gonna say this right now. Um, Pre-Angoro, you can't just slap a watermark on it. It has. I'm only gonna vote for that if it like actually fits the expansion it's supposed to be a part of. Anyway, shall we? All right. First one, insider trading. Shuffle a shady investment into your deck that gives mana. It upgrades each turn. It's just a 1 mana druid rogue dual class epic. Um, I, huh. The thing is, it's the thing is, it does feel a bit feels bad if you draw it and you can't do anything with the mana. So I don't know about this. It's a bit too volatile for my tastes. If it was something like a I don't know weapon, and then just like I think something like the um what that rogue weapon from Festival is like the right way to do this, where you spend like a certain amount of mana up front, and then you certain mana up front like this, and then you upgrade it over time, and then you're able to pop it when you need it. I think that's the best way to do this instead of this way, which is potentially feels bad if you draw it too early and you can't do anything with the extra mana, or feels bad when you really need to draw it to get the extra mana but you can't. So that's my feeling about this card. Okay. Uh, second submission. Botcoin, 4 mana 4/4, tradable. When drawn, randomize its cost between 1 and 10. This is a 1 mana 4/4 when your opponent plays it, and is a 10 mana 4/4 when you play it. Though if it's a 10 mana 4/4, I guess you can trade it away. This is way too swingy. Yeah, this is way too swingy. Technically, it fulfills the prompt because tradable, but yeah, I don't like it. Okay. Jade Master, 2 mana Jade Lotus. Uh, 2 mana 1/4 Jade Lotus. At the end of your turn, draw a card that didn't start in your deck. If you can't, shuffle a random Jade spell into it. Random here doesn't need to be capitalized. Is Jade spell. I guess that's intuitive. If makes sense what it does. Um, I mean, you could just use this to draw Jade idols, right? That's one of the ways you could do this. Is giving every class access to Jade Idol a good idea? Uh, I mean, technically, it's fine. Uh, boosts the Jade capacity of all these classes. Tutors up Jade Idols if you've shuffled a bunch into your deck. There's nothing wrong with it. It just, I don't know how that'll end up turning out. Yeah, that's how I feel. Also, this does kind of feel like a proper Priangoro card in the sense that it does take with the mechanics of the time, more or less. Void Touched Arcanist. Battlecry, shuffle 5 random spells that cost 5 or more into your deck. They cost 5 less. Yeah, this should say like into instead of in your deck. But a minor grammar mistake, I guess. It's a 5-mana 5/5 mage. I think that's Old Gods. This is like Blastoid, right? The 3-mana 3/4 shuffles 5 fire spells into your deck, and they cost 2 less. So this is like Blastoid, except significantly more swingy. On there aren't that because at the time most of the 5-mana spells did not win you the game. Nowadays, if you had something like a bunch of dwarf planets, a couple huddle ups, you just jam boards and then play cards that prevent your boards from being cleared. Like that could potentially be nasty. But back then, I don't think there was like a big card. There's like a big spell that broke this. So I think this is fine. This is like Blastoise says that this is probably okay. It's very swingy, but most of those are like board wipes. Yeah, this would be a fun card at the time. That's all I'll say. All right, this is my card. um, yeah, this is my card. Um, so this is Dreadraven Anzu. It's a 3-mana 3/4 Death Knight Double Frost Rune legendary from Ashes of Outland. It is elusive, and Death Rattle shuffles Anzu Prime into your deck. And Anzu Prime is a 8-mana 6/8 elusive with Battlecry. Summon 2 3/4 ravens with Charge, Wind Fury, and Elusive. And both these are beasts. So obviously, this is playing off of the Prime legendaries in Ashes of Outland. And the way those. And yeah, where you have like a totally normal ass card that you start with, and then when it dies, you shuffle a really strong guy into your deck. Anzu is actually a boss in Outland in World of Warcraft, I think. He's like this raven god that you beat up. So I figured that this is appropriate for like flavor wise why they would be in Outland. For context, I think most of the other primes are also like bosses you fight. Like Reliquary definitely is. I think Akama's around. I think only Murger is like the one guy that isn't in Outland. The rest are just guys in Outland, from what I remember. So that's the idea with this. I don't know. It's like cool. It also does feel like it's skirting around the prompt, so I don't know if people will actually vote for it. Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm obviously going to vote for myself, but I don't think this is going to win. It would be a miracle if it did. Okay, Sack of Whispers, 2-mana rogue spell. Shuffle 5 Whisperings into your deck, combo, draw 1. And Cthulhu's Whispering, cast when drawn, give you Cthulhu +2/+2 wherever it is. So this is eventually give you Cthulhu +10/+10. Um, Technically, this would throw off the balance because all the Cthulhu classes, I think, only have like one or two Cthulhu focused cards. I'm trying to remember because you had all like the neutrals that buffed it up, and then well, you had like that shield guy. Druid had the Aarakocra that gave it +3/+3. Rogue had the blade. Mage had the. Oh, I guess Priest had two, but one payoff, one buffer. Um, this is a lot. This is eventually potentially like 2020, but Rogue is already kind of the one that like Rogue is already prone to getting gigantic Cthuns thanks to Blade of Cthulhu. So what's giving it an even bigger? What's wrong with making it even bigger? So this is fine. I don't have a problem with it. Right. Bombastic Baboon. Battlecry shuffle a bomb into each player's deck. Death row, the current player draws theirs. Yeah, this is also fine. The opponent, you can buff this up so that the opponent has to like kill it on their turn, and then when that happens, yeah. So yeah, this is just a card. It's fine. Ozymandias Glacial Horror. Battlecry shuffle 6 Glacial Tentacles into your deck. Drawing one while this is alive destroys an enemy minion. Glacial Tentacles are 2-mana 2/2s that are summoned when drawn, and if you control Ozymandias Glacial Horror, destroy a random enemy minion. I remember this showing up on the Discord and people being like, how the hell are you going to draw these tentacles with Ozymandias still on the board? So, yeah. It's cool, I guess. How the fuck are you drawing these? And I guess it's like thinking to something like Remote Control Golem, the 4-mana 3/6, that after it takes damage, basically creates these tentacle-like things similar to these tentacles, in that they are 2/1s that are summoned when drawn. So yeah, this is just worse than Remote Control Golem on average, right? Like at least that one was like vanilla stats. This one guarantees you draw 6, but this guarantees you have 6. But that one like is actually a fine tempo play immediately. Yeah, I'm not biting on this. You know it's bad when you're being compared to Remote Control Golem. uh, right, Manoth the Flayer. Battle Cry, draw another demon, and you shuffle 5 copies of it that are summoned when drawn into your deck. 9-mana 8/8, neutral. This is Grand Tournament. At the time, I'm gonna have to look this up. How many demons there were? Give me 1 second. How many demons there were at the time? How many neutral demons? Because amalgams didn't exist yet, and you would want like a big demon. So, like goblins versus gnomes. Let's filter to demons. Those are all warlock. Grand Tournament. Yeah, these are all warlock cards. Yep. The only neutral one would be like Illidan would be the only neutral demon that you could actually draw with this, especially another because it specifies another um because it specifies another, you can't draw a copy of itself. So this has no reason to be neutral. And I think I've saw people mentioning that. It would have to be like a warlock card. It doesn't make sense as neutral. That I agree with that critique. Um, Minions that are summoned when drawn matters instead of like portals that summon the demon because of Joust. Joust was a mechanic in the Grand Tournament, so I do appreciate that. But this should really just be a Warlock card. It has no reason to be neutral. Okay. 3 mana, 0/5 weapon, Demon Hunter Warlock, Eye of the Nightmare. Battle Cry. Shuffle all 5 corrupted dream cards into your deck, and at the end of your turn, draw one. Um, so Shadrasil, salad dressing, sees play because the Ysera Awakens is like super busted and breaks everything. So this is just 3 mana, gets a Ysera Awaken, a Corrupted Awakening. Um, I I guess you, because I don't remember if Warlock and Demon Hunter actually like abuse the corrupted dream cards. Paladin currently does. Rogue plays uncorrupted Shadrasil because Rogue plays uncorrupted Shadrasil because the deal 5 to everything is, and the nightmare is good burn. Um, I think there was a spell mage that also used Shally. So um, I have a feeling this is kind of strong. Corrupted Shadrasil normally is only supposed to come online at turn 9, and this makes it come online at turn 8, which is a bit scary. It's it also has some weird templating issues where if like at the end of your turn draw one, uh, makes it seem like even if you replace this weapon, then you still get the draws each time. So that's my sense. But it's a little strong for my liking. And because so much of the because so much of the power of Shadrasil comes from the corrupted awakening, um, this is probably a bit too swingy in hindsight. Right. Meticulous Archivist. I remember this one as well. The first time each turn you draw a card you can't afford, shuffle it back into your deck and draw another. The big question I had was, what if you have 2 of these on board? Because um, there's like the crowbar that Battlegrounds crowbar specifies like one choose one card each turn has both effects combined. And then there's like Seeker Stealer of Souls. The first card you draw each turn costs health instead of mana. Um, Stealer of Souls technically stacks because you can change a card's cost to health instead of mana twice. I don't think there's actually a card that uh, triggers off the first thing you do each turn and that like consumes the card or something. Like all of the first time each turn effects stack cleanly, either through like a reduction or through like something like that. So this is completely unprecedented, and it's not clear how it would work if you had two of these on board. So I don't know if I'm going to dock points because of that. I think it's an interesting idea. It helps smooth out your draws and doesn't do anything else really. But yeah, that's just my sense. It's not. It's a bit confusing if you have two of them on board. I don't know if I'm gonna fully dock points on it though for that. Okay. Bootlegger Talon, Battle Cry, shuffle, discover weapon, shuffle it into your deck. The next weapon you draw is equipped when drawn. Um, yeah, I think this is also just way too swingy. Something like a Woe Cleaver on 8. Um, yeah, and then if you have like a tiny weapon, then it's like cool. I guess you draw an extra card. But I remember like the duels treasure that used to be like at the start of your turn, discover and equip a legendary weapon. That was busted to hell. They had to nerf that really hard. So I am a bit iffy on something like this, where it's like you discover a really strong weapon, shuffle it into your deck, and then you can equip. It basically lets you equip a super strong weapon immediately. You equip a super strong weapon next time you draw it. Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks to that. Oh god. Uh, well, whatever. Right. Augmented Technician. 3 mana 4/2 rogue minion. Battlecry. Shuffle 3 spare parts into each player's deck. Combo only into your opponent's. So this is like a bad luck albatross type of thing, where you shuffle in things that your opponent would not like to draw. Which is like, I don't know how much. Um, Spare parts are probably on average better than albatrosses. Is that even true? Because like the Frieza minion is probably better than a 1/1. The return a friendly minion to your hand is probably better than a 1/1. The +1 attack, +1 health are definitely worse. And then what's the last couple? Well, anyway, I think it is like because spare parts are better than albatrosses, it's on average worse than bad luck albatross. I guess the extra one does matter, but your opponent can use spare parts much better than 1/1 do nothing idiots. And then you also have to combo it to force it into the opponent's deck. So also the albatrosses actually mattered in that set because of Highlander. While this one, the spare parts really don't matter at all. You don't need to care about bricking your opponent's draws. Having a card that is exclusively used for bricking your opponent's draws is not really good design. I feel like. That's like a can of worms, but I personally feel like you should be furthering your own game plan most of the time rather than messing with your opponents. It's fine if there's answers to your opponent's game plans. That's what Albatross is meant to fix. For example, it's meant to be an answer to like Highlander decks, but having a pure disruptive force like this is probably not going to get anybody excited. Yeah. Okay. Draconic Aura, 2 mana, holy. At the end of your turn, draw a card that didn't start in your deck. Last 3 turns. Very simple. Uh, very simple. I don't know about effectiveness. It's. I guess I'll vote for it, but it's like, whatever. Onyx Rook, 4 mana, 4/4. Battlecry, discover a card from your opponent's deck, shuffle the other 2 into your deck, reduce the cost of all 3 by 3. The thing is, as written, this actually just rips 3 cards from your opponent's deck. Um, the way you would fix that is you would say discover a copy of a card. That's how every card that takes from the opponents actually says. It's how Nightmare Fuel says it. It's how Identity Theft says it. If you just yoinked the cards from your opponent's deck, that would be toxic as hell. But let's just assume it just said a copy, so you don't actually yoink the cards. Um, in that case, how good is this? It's fine, I would assume. It's it's kind of like the Sandbox Scoundrel first half, except the Sandbox Scoundrel first half gives a really strong second half. So you're trading off the 1 mana 1/1 that discounts by 3 for 2 random ass cards from your opponent later in the game, which I think is worse. So I do think this is worse than Sandbox Scoundrel, but that's like late in the game. Onyx Rook, get a card from opponent's deck. Um, this is the set with Purify, right? Ah, it's also kind of. I'm gonna have to look at One Night in Karazhan cards because, like, I don't know how well that would have fit into stuff. Yeah, I mean, these are kind of just like standalone guys. There's Purify, which is the meme card. There's Onyx Bishop, which works with like Resurrection and stuff, which this wouldn't work with. And then there's Priest of the Feast, which is just a decent defensive card. Honestly, a lot of these are just like standalone cards that don't support anything crazy. Actually, never mind. Now that I'm looking at it, a lot of some of these do like work are intended to work together. It looks like there's Malchus's Imp Silverware Port Golem, then there's like a couple of dragon supports. There's Swashbuckler, Ethereal Peddler, which are clearly meant to work together. There's Cat Trick, Cloaked Huntress. Okay. Yeah, my sense. Okay, this does My sense is that this doesn't work with any of the existing priest stuff from the time, and I'm not even sure if you'd want to just take 3 cards from your opponent and reduce them by 3. I don't know if you'd even want to do that, honestly. So I don't think this has like a super good home at the time. Right. Malkazar, Killer Prince. Start a game, set your health to 40, shuffle 5 Agnis into your deck, and Agnis make you take fatigue damage. Very funny in Fatigue Warlock. Potentially funny in Demon Seed Warlock. It's an interesting idea, at least. This says you're the raptor in it, on it. So it's not like meant to be a Karazhan thing. Well, so you're basically starting with like 25 health because the fatigue takes like 15. But then again, like if you are fucking around with like fatigue stuff through like crescendos, through baritone imps, then the agonies are actually an upside because they scale it for free. So this in the right deck, this is literally a double upside. Compared to like something like Prince Renethal. So my sense is that this is this is a little strong. This should be a Caverns of Time card. As in like a card that supports an old archetype. If Caverns of Time Part 2 comes out, then this would fit, I guess. All right. Okay. Last thing. Last two. Twilight Ritualist. Battle Cry. Shuffle 2 rituals into your deck to give your Cthulhu +3/+3. They cast twice if this is still alive. And Twilight Ritual is just a cast when drawn. This is basically the rogue one. I would probably only vote for one of the two. I do like the rogue one better because you can actually guarantee that it goes off with the combo. Well, this one you're just kind of sitting there hoping that they don't remove your 2/5, which that's not gonna happen. So I think I do like the other one better than this. Then 18, Fixated Elec, 3 mana 3/4 neutral beast. Whenever another minion dies, this minion remembers it. Death Rattle, shuffle the minions into your deck. This is a play on Educated Elec, which was a play on Augmented Elec. So I personally don't think this fits. Like, they wouldn't have printed this at the time in Whispers of the Old Gods because it's a reference to a reference. But I do think the card is fine. It reminds me of like Spirit of the Dead to a certain extent. Except with some enemy minions as well. Honestly, Educated Alec wasn't like an amazing card, but it was interesting. And I think this is also interesting. Maybe you could make something work with it. I don't know. Okay. So let's see, how do I vote? Closing thoughts. This is way too unreliable and swingy for my liking. This is way too unpredictable and swingy. This one's fine, I guess. This one's fun, like that. This is my submission. I personally think it's interesting. This one I like because Rogue already was the one that cared about like making their Cthulhu massive, so it doesn't really matter that this is like a lot. This card's a fine card. This one is being compared to a remote control golem, which is never a good sign. This one should really just be a warlock card. This one uh, is just get Corrupted Awakening, which is kind of busted. This one is just fishing for Corrupted Awakening. This one, the interaction with how two of them work is kind of weird, but I've decided I'm not going to dock points on that. This one gives me duels flashbacks. So this is very much like a uh, you shouldn't let your emotions deal with this. But I'm just gonna skip it out of principle for that. This one doesn't really have a purpose or home. This one is just a fine card. I don't have a problem with it. This one doesn't have a home at all. This one is funny, but it's probably not like amazing. This one, this one's funny, but it might be a little. But I think it is kind of double upside, which is funny to think about. This one, I like the Rogue one better than this one, so sorry. And then this one's like fine. Alright. Yeah, it is Priangoro. Actually, no, I'm not going to vote for Priangoro because of the thing I just mentioned, where this is a callback to a callback of a card that came out after Angoro. Right. That's that.